What is up, my friends? Who knew we'd be here tonight, right? You knew. As soon as I said Craig's going to take a day off, news happened. So, here we are as promised, and ladies and gentlemen, the big breaking news this evening is around Andy Robertson's future. It looks as if a move to Atletico Madrid could very well be on the card. So we're going to speak about that, how that came to fruition, what that means, of course, for the summer transfer window. We'll have a little look at the developing story around Arsenal's striker search. I'd seen the calls for me to check out Romano's latest post, and I did, and it seems as if Kerkez could be heading to the Emirates, or at least open to heading to the Emirates. So look, appreciate you all dropping in. I know we're not supposed to be live tonight, but you know me, I react to these things. So here we are. Let's get stuck into it. I hope you've all had a wonderful Saturday so far. Appreciate your support here on the channel, folks, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have, and of course, to soak up some of that knowledge that you guys have as well. Mike Manser, thank you, bro, for retaking up your membership. That's the one I was looking for. Appreciate you, Mike Manser. Thank you, sir, for your continued support. So yeah, look, I hope you're all having a good day. Do you know what? It's been a weird one, the Andy Robertson story. It kind of just came out of nowhere. So let's take you through it. Let's take you through where we're at with it. Give everybody a chance to catch up, and then we'll move on to what's likely to happen. So one thing that we need to keep in mind here, and I'm sure you may or may not already be aware of, but Andy Robertson is represented by Trent's brother. He is his agent, so it looks like he's masterminded, is that the right word? This potential opportunity. I think it's Tyler is Trent's brother's name. So Atletico Madrid's top target, according to Fabrizio Romano, in this summer's transfer window at left back is Andy Robertson. Even though other names have been mentioned, Romano reckons that Robbo was, well, the number one target. This then from Paul Joyce, who said Andy Robertson, the Liverpool left back, is being considered by Atletico Madrid over a summer move to La Liga. Andy Robertson has opened up the idea or the possibility of moving to Atletico is another report. Ian Doyle said Liverpool have yet to receive an official approach from Atletico, but would face a difficult decision over Robbo's future should the interest be made formal. Then we had Fabrizio Romano a little bit later on saying Robertson is keen on joining Atleti and initial talks have already started. Atletico consider Robertson as their priority as revealed by Fabrizio Romano. Then we had Matteo Moretta, who said Liverpool are asking for a modest fee to let Andy Robertson leave with his contract set to expire in 2026. Atletico is seen as being a realistic target Robbo is seen as being a realistic target for Atletico, and Robbo has already said yes, according to this report. So I think the best way for me to start off is by telling you how I feel about the idea of Andy Robertson moving to Atletico Madrid. If I put myself in his shoes, I'd probably take to move as well. And you're going to say to me, is this different to Trent? For me, absolutely very different to the Trent situation. So Andy Robertson has to look at the rest of his footballing career. He is the wrong side of 30. He has a young family, and he's just seen Liverpool go after and likely going to bring in his replacement at left back. So this, to him, is probably a very good opportunity, and certainly I would wish him nothing but the very best if he takes up the opportunity. In fact, I'll go a little bit further. I'll probably go over to Atletico Madrid to watch Andy Robertson play a game because that's the esteem that I hold him in. Definitely doesn't feel like he's angled for this move or he's trying to just run away from Liverpool. Not for me, nothing like that. It just feels like a good opportunity and maybe one that Liverpool feel like is best for everyone concerned. Don't know what this means, by the way, for Costas, if he's likely to stay around now. Don't know if Liverpool maybe go into the market for Jarell Haddo as an option. But for me on this one, I've no ill feeling towards Robbo whatsoever on it. In fact, if I put myself in his shoes, like I said, I'd probably look at it as well. Moving over to play in a wonderful stadium as well with great fans. We know Atletico Madrid are very well supported. A slightly slower pace league that perhaps may suit Andy Robertson as he gets a little bit older. A manager who was brought in the likes of Kieran Trippier before, and I just think it's a move that I can understand, in all honesty. It'll be incredibly sad to see him go if he does go, because, like I said, love Andy Robertson. Dave, evening to you, my man. Appreciate you as always there. I hope you're well. So let's see how you guys are feeling about the Robertson situation. Robbo is a legend of the club. We'll never forget what Robbo has done for us. Same, Sean. You know, Andy Robertson has had to fight his whole career. You know, he didn't even know if he'd have a full professional football career. And he fought and backed himself and made his way to the very top. Probably never dreamed of representing Liverpool Football Club and winning what he's won. But he's earned it. He's earned it by hard work, perseverance, and backing himself. So for me, if Robbo wants to move on, no problem. I wish him the very best with it because he's a legend. And this is a different situation for me to the way Trent went about it. We have way too many outgoings, said Conor Mullen. Well, the manager's putting his own stamp on the team, mate, I guess, is how I'm looking at it. And also, they're not outgoings that Liverpool will have fought to keep. Trent being a different one, of course. Liverpool would have wanted to keep him. But Caoimhín Kelleher was always going to move on this summer. Andy Robertson, well, we knew we were going to lose a left-back with bringing in Milos Kerkez. It was just, I guess, thought that it was going to be Kostas Tsimikas, and that ends up maybe it's Andy Robertson. Other than that, I still don't think Liverpool are going to lose anyone that they won't have being open to the idea of losing, as an example. So Barcelona look very much likely to make a move for Nico Williams. So does that mean we're going to see Luis Diaz stay? Potentially. Other outgoings, to get back to your point, my man, not too many real senior ones. Maybe we lose Harvey Elliott. Maybe we lose Jarell Quansah. But again, they're players that the manager hasn't exactly put his faith in over the past year. Lewis Grizzly said, Robertson will be missed for sure, but he'll hardly be played once we get Kerkez, let's be real. Exactly. And he's only got 1 year left on his contract. It just feels like Liverpool could get a few quid for a player who wants to try a new way of life with his young family. And I'd have no issues with that whatsoever. I would be intrigued to see what type of numbers would be involved, though. Like, what is a modest fee? I genuinely don't know. But, yeah, Andy Robertson, if he does depart, for me, will depart a legend and somebody who I will only ever have kind words to say. Eddie. Eddie said he's won everything there is to win at Liverpool. Yep, and done it the hard way. Fought his way up. I remember that post from him where he was, even just looking for a job at one point. But he backed himself, kept plugging away, got his move to Hull, then got his move to Liverpool, and the rest, as they say, is history. So, yeah, Andy Robertson, whatever he wants to do with his young family, I wish him nothing but the best. Right, let's have a look at some of the guesses of prices. 20 million, Tanya said. I don't think it'll be that high, Tanya, in all honesty. Again, I'm just guessing though, my friend, so don't take anything I'm saying here as gospel. Craig, are we sticking with Kostas as a backup? I'd like to hear moved on, replaced as well. It's a good question, Philly Reds, and much love to you, my friend, over in Philadelphia. Yeah, it's one I've been asking myself all day. I would imagine he'd probably keep Kostas around for the time being because we don't want to have too much change in one go. What is he, 27 now, Kostas? So maybe the manager feels, okay, if Robertson moves on, then we keep Kostas. I'm thinking that's pretty sensible, to be honest. But again, I do understand the shouts as well for the likes of Jarell Haddo. But, would Haddo want to come in then to battle for a left-back spot with Milos Kerkez? Or is Haddo viewed as a long-term centre-back target? So many questions, but at the minute, not so many answers. Luke said 40 million for Robbo. No, mate. You'd be lucky if we got 10. I think this one here, 8 to 10 million from Rory White. My man, that's pretty much where I'm at, Rory. I think 8 to 10 million is probably about right. Cop Wolf said 25 million. David Massett, 15 million. Stevie Boy, Robbo, Liverpool legend. 100%, mate. 100%. Nothing but good things to say about Robbo. And as I said, I view this very, very differently to the Trent situation. It was also weird today watching Sky Sports and seeing Pep Blinders with Pep Guardiola doing the Manchester City coaching drills. It just felt weird looking at that. I thought Kostas was linked to Leeds. He was, but again, Lewis, nothing formal has come yet. He certainly had been linked with Leeds United amongst a few other clubs. But again, this situation with Robbo might not be one that Liverpool thought was going to happen. So maybe this is a developing situation that the club are reacting to. But either way, it will be sad to see him go. That's all I can really say in it. We know we're bringing in the new left back. We know that Robbo's time on the pitch is probably going to be at a minimum. And personally, I would rather that we kept one of the two left backs that are used to being playing in the squad rather than wholesale changes. You're bringing in Kerkez. So for me, if Robbo moves out, I would keep Costas for another season as backup until we, see how Kerkez gets on. In all honesty, that would be my take on it. But again, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments. Right, let's do a poll on the Robbo valuation because that's probably an easier way. So let's start this. Right. Okay. So one other thing I'd say here as well is if he's going to leave Liverpool and move outside the Premier League, I think Liverpool would of course be a little bit more open to a reasonable fee because they're not strengthening a rival, if you get me. So let's say, okay, 1 second. Next one. Okay. Nearly there, folks. Bear with me. Okay. Yes, there we go. There we go. Right, so I said, with 1 year left, what is a fair price for Robbo? Under 5 million, 5 million to 8 million, 8 million to 12 million, or above 12 million? So crack on with that one, and we will revisit it in a while, my friends. I'm very intrigued to see what you think on this one, though. Yeah, I have a price in my head, and of course I don't want to give it out to you yet because I want to see if you guys agree or disagree. Manny, thank you, mate, for your membership with us for 7 months as well. Appreciate you. Frimpong Friday, Florian Friday, Milos Monday. Yep, why not? Although I don't think it will be Monday, in all honesty. But on that, I do think we're going to see that deal move along quickly now. And the reason why is because today, Bournemouth completed the signing of Adrian Truffert on a 5-year deal for about 70 million euro all in, including the add-ons, and a 10% sell-on club to run as well. So he's coming in basically to fight with Julio Soler to be Milos Kerkez replacement at Bournemouth. So the fact that they got that deal over the line today, you will probably see Liverpool's deal for Milos Kerkez start to speed up now. Hope Robbo destroys Trent in the derbies and wins La Liga, said 1-2. Honestly, mate, I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over and take a trip to the Wanda Metropolitano to watch Robbo because it's a stadium I've always wanted to see as well. And I think Atleti are a class club, so I wouldn't mind going over and visiting. So yeah, if he goes over to the Wanda Metropolitano, I think I'll be there for a game at some point. Nothing but love for Robbo. Just hope we won't have to pay or to play Atleti, excuse me. They've been difficult enough to play against when Robbo was on our side. They're a good side, and I think I could see Cholo Simeone and Robbo getting on well. I think two fiery characters that would probably get along rather well. So yeah, I'm glad to see that the kindness is out there for Robbo because I expected nothing different to be honest, because you guys are class acts. Dave said, worried that we've so many changes to the team, it's going to take a while to gel together. Well, I guess that's why, Dave, it might be important, bro, that we get these guys in early and we give Arne Slot as much time on the training ground with them as possible. So we know Jeremy Frimpong's already done. We know 100% that himself and Wirtz will be there when preseason starts. It looks like Milos Kerkez will join them relatively soon, so he'll probably be there. So that helps a lot. It gives Arne the full preseason to work with them. And if you're thinking about it from a starting 11 perspective for next season, don't know how many changes we're likely to see. I mean, off the top of my head, I would say Bradley, let's say, at right back to start. Then Canada and Virgil, centre-back positions. Kerkez at left-back. Midfield of it depends how many midfielders we're going with, but I could see something like Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Wirtz as a false 9 even, and then Salah on the right and Gakpo, Diaz on the left. So I don't think we're in the territory of too many changes just yet, but certainly worth keeping an eye on. Jack said this is very, very, very bad. No, it isn't, mate. It's not the ideal scenario, Jack, but I wouldn't say it's very, very, very bad, mate. It's a player moving on who knew that his time at Liverpool was likely coming to an end anyway. So, it's just one of them things. I certainly wouldn't put it in the very, very, very bad camp. I mean, if Canada doesn't sign the new deal, that for me would fall into the very, very, very bad camp. But yeah, again, just to reiterate, Robbo is represented by Trent's brother and his agency, so maybe they just wanted the mates to reunite over Madrid at some point. His legs have gone as well, slowed down, said Conor Mullen. Yeah, he definitely wasn't the same Robbo last season. Now, Arna said that it was because he was playing catch-up all year with an injury, but it definitely didn't feel like we had the same Andy Robertson. We knew we needed a new left-back, and we've gone and got one, and we've gone and got a younger version of Robbo. So, I don't think there's any need for us to be getting too concerned about the team falling apart. But it is sad that of that Champions League winning team now, you're talking about Salah, Alisson and Virgil being the ones left in it, which is sad. That is sad. Somebody showed me that picture earlier on. But what they said to them was, this is the cycle of football. Legends come in, legends leave, and new legends are formed. And, we could be talking about these same group of players in 3-4 years' time as having delivered an unparalleled era of success at the Reds. So, yeah, one door closes, another door opens, but, this is the cycle of life as a football fan, isn't it? LFC Forever said, legend. He was hard-working player. 100%. Yeah, 100%. An absolute gentleman as well, Robbo. I'd say the biggest loss for Liverpool here will be on the training ground, in and around the dressing room. We know what a great character and leader Andy Robertson is, so that, I would say, would be hard for the club to replace that experience and leadership, but that's why it's pivotal to keep the likes of Mohamed Salah and Virgil around with Alisson as well. These links, by the way, to Galatasaray for Alisson, they haven't gone away, but I don't think we need to be concerned about them. This piece here from Florian Plettenberg said that Galatasaray made an inquiry for Alisson, but Liverpool rebuffed that inquiry, and Alisson also turned it down. There's no way I can see Liverpool even contemplating Alisson leaving until his contract's up. We know that he's got 1 year to go, and then the club have an option to trigger another year extension, which he expects them to. So I think we see Alisson see out his contract in 2 years. Is Robbo going? Well, yes, mate. That's what the whole stream's been about so far. Somebody said we've never won a league without a Scotsman. Well, let's see if that changes, or if Calvin Ramsey perhaps becomes that Scotsman. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. All these rules and all are meant to be broken, though, so I wouldn't be getting too stressed about it. But it is sad, it's always sad when somebody leaves after such a long, successful period with the club. But let me cheer you up a little bit with a story that defo caught my eye today. Liverpool in pole position to sign Alexander Isak, according to this report from Graham Bailey for TBR Football. Liverpool are keeping their powder dry. Liverpool will see him as their dream signing, and there's a reason that Liverpool aren't really going overboard in the striker one. Liverpool were in for a mega summer this summer. They've got funds and the resources to do both deals, i.e. speaking about bringing in Isak and Wirtz. Just look at the potential sales. Kelleher, Nunez, they linked Jota as a potential sale, which is interesting. Chiesa, those four alone would cover the Wirtz fee. Isak is the dream, and I think because Liverpool's confidence, that's where Arsenal's interest is waning slightly. I've been told that Liverpool are in pole position. If Isak leaves, then Liverpool are in pole position, and I think Arsenal learned that, and that's why they backed off slightly as well. Not just because they can't afford him, because Arsenal probably could, but they know that Liverpool are probably his favourite destination if he does leave Newcastle. So, what do you think of that one? Like I said last week, these stories for Isak, they're just not going away. I've got no idea if there's any credibility to them or not, but they certainly aren't going away. Craig, do you think we sign Gordon this summer? only if Diaz goes. And if Barcelona are really moving for Nico Williams, and it looks like they are, because even Rafinha's liking stuff and all from him now, if they go and sign Nico Williams, there's not a hope in hell that they have the finances or the need to come in and sign Luis Diaz. So this is what I'm saying. Barcelona are such a weird club. You know, they brief journalists and the media on one thing, and then 3 days later they've changed their mind completely. It was, oh, we only want Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz is the number one target. Hansi Flick's given the go-ahead. Deco wants him and they're preparing an offer. Then 2 days later, it's all Nico Williams. So, yeah, if I was a player that was being linked to Barcelona, I very much wouldn't get my hopes up, because they're very fleeting in their interest in certain players and then run off and change their mind. Look, to be honest with them, I'd sign Nico Williams over Luis Diaz, you know, because you could bring together that Spanish front line again, have Yamal on one side, Nico Williams on the other side, and then even in the future there's talk that they're going to look for Julian Alvarez if he's not happy after one more season at Atletico Madrid. Clint, thank you, mate, appreciate you. Hoarder said, I want Isak at Liverpool. So do I, mate. Very much, but I'm not sitting here expecting it anyway, but I would love it. Right, where's the poll? Where are we at with this one? Right, we're at 1,650 odd votes. So if you haven't voted yet, first question tonight we asked was, with 1 year left on his deal, what is a fair price for Andy Robertson? Under 5 million, 5 million to 8 million, 8 million to 12 million, or above 12 million? Trent was never our best player. He had many inconsistent seasons and the defending was awful. I honestly don't think he is as good as people think. I definitely feel like, and we discussed this quite a while, Jonathan, when we had the situation with Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk and Trent, and we were talking about if you had to lose one, who would it be? Everybody that I spoke with or chatted with said Trent, because yes, the others have a shorter time at Liverpool left ahead of them, but they are so pivotal to the season we've just had and the success moving forward that everybody was saying if you had to lose one, it would be Trent, even though he was the younger of them. So I think a lot of people would probably agree with you on that one, my friend. Matthew said, good evening, Craig. Good evening to you, sir. Nothing against Robbo if he wants to leave, but I feel like he's more important to us than 10 to 15 million. Also, maybe I'm a pessimist, but these Isak links sound a little clickbaity to me. Even when I speak to people who would be fairly reserved, they won't rule out the idea of Isak. Now, I don't think we're going to sign Alexander Isak. I've said that all the way through. But the Robertson thing, again, I think it's a case of Liverpool looking at it, trying to be fair with Robbo, knowing he has a year to go, knowing he's been a great servant to the club. And if he wants to move, Liverpool seem like they're willing to facilitate it for a reasonable fee to allow that to happen. And when you're bringing in another left back, I can understand it as well. So what I will find interesting though, Matthew, is what happens with Costas. Do we keep him for continuity, which I would imagine we do, or do we move him on? Blah said good to lose Robbo, but what's your opinion of the academy? Is there anybody who can step up and be a squad player, e.g. to back up Kerkez? I honestly haven't got a clue, mate. I'm sure somebody in the chat will mention potential left back options, but I ain't the guy to talk about the academy. I don't have enough time in the day to be keeping up with it, but I know that there are definitely people in the chat who do, so maybe we'll open that question up. Right, we get about 100 more votes till we get to the 2,000 for the Robbo vote. Owen Beck was initially, Mohammed, where my thought was, but I haven't kept track of Owen Beck, so really I don't know how good he is. Rian said, would you even want Robbo to leave or go for 8 to 12 million? He's worth more in our eyes. I think, mate, it's again the club just facilitating it for a good servant if he wants to do it. You know, we know Liverpool Football Club don't want to keep anybody who maybe wants to try something somewhere else, or, you know, when you're talking about a servant like Andy Robertson, if he decides he wants to go and this opportunity's there for him, I don't think Liverpool will stand in his way, especially when we know we're bringing in Milos Kerkez. So, but I totally get it. You know, ideally, we would have liked him to stay around and battle with Milos for a season and see what happens, but I think this is just Liverpool as well being fair to a good servant. Do we really need the money for Robbo? It's not about the money. This isn't Liverpool drumming up to try and sell. This is a player who obviously has been pitched an idea that seemingly, based off the reports, likes the idea of it for him and his family. That's the way I look at it anyway. It's definitely not Liverpool looking to cash in on him or anything. It's something that, he probably understands that his days as a starting left back at Liverpool are going to be limited. And he's got a short time left in his career and doesn't want it to be spent fading away. And maybe a move to a slightly slower pace league and will suit him a bit more. Heavy Metal D said, what's the worst football badge design in your opinion? Oh, God. Oh, mate, I'd have to have time to think about that one. I hate the Juventus one. I prefer the old one. I hate that they changed it. God, I don't know, mate. Let me have a think on it because I'd have to look through some football badges because off the top of my head, I'm bound to forget some. Disagree. He's definitely being pushed. Well, I've literally just told you that he isn't being pushed. And how would you think so shitty of your own club? Liverpool won't be pushing out Andy Robertson. Liverpool's plan was to keep Robertson and sell Costas. But again, if people want to think badly about our own football club, I don't know. I don't know what to say, honestly. But this isn't Liverpool pushing it. Does Alisson deserve a statue outside of Anfield when he leaves? I'd give him a statue. I'd give him whatever he wants. I love him, but I don't know. We're going to run out of space for statues. We've got that many legends lately that we're going to run out of space for statues. So maybe we can just name the goalkeeper training academy after him or something. I don't know, because he's an absolute legend. I love Alisson to bits. Look how selective Slot was with Elliot Jones and Quansah. I doubt he'd give Beck much time. Look, it's going to be interesting to see what does happen here when Andy Robertson does get the move and it goes through. It'll be interesting to see what Liverpool's thoughts are. Do we still see links to Costas being sold, or will that change? Liverpool 2 sold. I've seen somebody say in the chat. Great show. Right, so we've got over the 2,000 votes now, and thank you. Wow, 45% of people think over 12 million. 8 to 12 million had 42%. 5 to 8 million, 9%. Under 5 million, 2%. I would be in the 42%. I'd be in the 8 to 12 million category. But obviously I want my football club to get the most money that they can. So if it's over the 12 million, of course, I'll be more than happy with that as well. But I think 8 to 12 million probably feels fair enough. But yeah, again, the top answer was above 12 million. Thank you to everyone that voted. Any Inacio updates? Yes, I do actually have an Inacio update here for you. There was a report in O Jogo, which is a Portuguese newspaper, that again, seemingly similar story. It said the report claims that Liverpool are joined by Manchester United and Newcastle in expressing their interest in signing Gonçalo Inacio this summer. So that's them, and that's the Caught Offside article. Now, maybe they're the same source for the story, I don't know, but I did notice that article today. So yes, when you asked me about Inacio, that was the latest one I'd seen. So what's this we're all saying about somebody's comment in the chat? I have to find the comment. I'll see what it is. Where is it? Where's Alex's comment? Sorry, I'm trying to find the comment that lots of people are responding to because I can't see the original comment. Where is it? Liverpool open talks for Ekitike, said Romano. Interesting. Well, if I can see the original post, I'll believe it, but I don't know on that one, to be honest with you. It does feel like he's the most likely of the ones that are out there in the public domain. You know, we've seen Chelsea didn't get the deal done before the Club World Cup, and we said yesterday that the reports that suggested that he was going to take his time and look at all the offers that were coming in. So we know United are interested, but you know, surely if Liverpool are interested, there's no competition there. Although I believe Ekitike may be a United fan, if I'm not mistaken. So let's wait and see. Again, I'm relaxed about it. Liverpool will have their target and will go after the guy that they think's the best fit once we sell Darwin. Matthew said realistic fee is Robbo for Alvarez, straight swap. Imagine. I mean, remember how we got Andy Robertson? We basically sold Kevin Stewart to Hull for similar money. Ireland getting further than England in the World Cup of Darts, and we're playing Northern Ireland in the quarters. I know, Shane, I just watched the Germany-England game before starting the stream. Couldn't believe Germany knocked out England with the two Lukes, Humphreys and Littler. Littler looked disgusted, by the way, when he left the stage, but yeah, incredible. World Cup of Darts, Ireland taking on Northern Ireland in the quarters. Robbo Nunez plus a little money for Alvarez. Alvarez isn't going to leave at the minute. And again, one of the reasons we believe that he did leave was because not liking the weather over in this part of the world. So I don't think Julian Alvarez is going to be a realistic option for us, unfortunately, especially now that Barcelona are fluttering their eyelashes at him. So here's one. FIFA have changed the seats of the people who bought a ticket for the Club World Cup. Those with a ticket will be moved to a seat that is shown on television so that the TV cameras only capture seats with fans in it, making the stadium look less empty. And that's according to the Mail. So, let me play a game. If you guys were in charge now, who are you buying at centre forward that we can get? Don't be giving me mad names like Haaland or Atten. If you're Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes right now, and you know that you're going to sell Darwin Nunez, who's top of your shopping list? Who's the realistic one that you think we can get, is value, and would do a job in Liverpool's team? Let me know in the comments. They've put some tickets down to $4. Oh my days, that's embarrassing. State of it. Everyone's saying Isak. Did we not hear the words achievable? No. Isak, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get Isak, but I appreciate it. I mean, he'd be one I'd love as well, but I just don't think it's realistic. Mahmood said Ekitike, Mark Isak, Sean Lester, Harry Kane. Stop it now. He's the most un-Liverpool player I think I've ever seen on a football pitch. Harry Kane is the epitome of everything that isn't Liverpool, in my opinion, and I would really never want to see him in a Liverpool shirt. Voltmada, a couple of people are saying. Vlahovic for I'm Ron. Lamine Yamal, okay, mate, realistic, come on now. Don't have the $500 million lying around, or actually $1 billion now, isn't it? Isn't it release clause, which is just ridiculous. Gyökeres is a machine, get him. I honestly don't understand the hype in Gyökeres because he's not proven himself anywhere at a top level. He's played for Coventry and then gone to Sporting Lisbon and done well in a league that Darwin looked like a world beater in. If Liverpool signed Victor Gyökeres, I would probably lose my mind because it would just feel like such a risky strategy for a 27-year-old who, as I mentioned, has not been tested in one of Europe's top 5 leagues. So, yeah, I would pass personally, but let's wait and see. Again, like I've said to you, I've always been told 100% he's not on the shopping list. So, yeah, I've always been very consistent in that, and so have the people who've been saying it, to be fair. Martin, Lawrence, love a fan of your work, mate, by the way. Love the stand-up. If Robertson does go to Atletico Madrid, does he leave one on Trent in the Madrid derby for his new team and on our behalf? It'll be interesting because I don't think that they can be having a public bromance when they play on different sides of the Madrid divide. So yeah, it will be interesting. They will be on the same side of the pitch. Of course, Robbo left back, Trent on the right side, means if they play each other, they'll be taking each other on, and that will be very interesting to say the least. Mbuemo. I mentioned Spurs with Mbuemo, by the way, and they're looking at it, but I was watching back pages tonight, and I was watching what's the gentleman's name? Mark Ogden, who's ESPN senior writer, and he still feels like United are in the box seat for Brian Mbuemo. Let's wait and see. But we do know that 70 million is a number that Spurs are willing to go to, according to reports. So if they go to 70 million for Mbuemo, I don't think United will be able to match that number. Deutscher, Copite said, I'd love Douay, but would opt for Osimhen. So yeah, Osimhen is definitely the one for me that feels very weird. Because as much as I've said he wouldn't be my choice at Liverpool, and he wouldn't, it certainly feels like he'd do a great job for somebody. And the fact that there aren't a whole host of top clubs tripping over themselves to try and sign him makes me wonder why. Chelsea need a striker, Arsenal need a striker, United need a striker, Liverpool need a striker. And yet nobody's tripping over themselves to run and pay that money to Napoli for the release clause. There has to be a reason for that. Mateta be an interesting show. Again, I find it really difficult to sit here and say yes or no to anybody because, like I've said, I've been honest and said I'm still trying to figure out what an Arne Slot striker is and what way he wants the team to play. And I'm also really excited because a lot of the reports over the last week have suggested we are far from done in this transfer window and that Liverpool have big ambitions left for the signings they want to get done. I'm really intrigued to see the centre-back situation play out and see who we do go for there because we've been linked to Kim Min-jae. Somebody brought it up in the chat last night and went looking and found a story today. So let me just read this one out to you. So this one comes from, I think, Christian Falk. And he said, Liverpool are weighing up whether to launch a move for Kim Min-jae after it emerged that Bayern Munich can imagine a sale. Christian Falk goes on to say no decision has yet been made on Kim Min-jae's future, but there have also been no negotiations on the player side. But there is interest from Saudi Arabia. He hasn't ruled that out. There's still interest from Liverpool and Manchester United, but that has yet to become concrete. So what do we think there? It doesn't excite me, to be honest with you. Kim Min-jae, it just doesn't. But then again, I would have said the same about Gravenberch and thought, why are Bayern willing to sell him? And that worked out pretty well. So, yeah, if he's who Arne Slot wants, I'm fine. I just want the manager to get his number one choices. But wouldn't be top of my shopping list anyway, I got to say that. Harry Klein said John Duran. It is worth keeping an eye on that situation, like I've mentioned. Unhappy with how things are going in Saudi, and the avenue has opened up for a potential loan there. Sorry, I don't know what that one's about. What other notes do we have to go through that I haven't talked about yet? Quansah. Let's talk a bit more about Quansah. So this piece here said the Bayer Leverkusen are now showing concrete interest in Liverpool centre-back Jarell Quansah. The England under-21 international is a prime candidate to fill the void left by defensive leader Jonathan Tah's move to Bayern Munich. Despite his status as a reserve player, this piece says, interesting. There was also an interview here with Quansah, and he was speaking, and he said the England under-21 international faced speculation over his future. He said, it's definitely developing. I'm not getting too high or too low with anything. I think I can take massive learnings from the 3 seasons I've had in professional football, from Bristol Rovers on loan in 2023 until now, to put perspective and look back in a very good position to take the next step. It comes with working hard and staying focused on what I can control. As for the future, I'll put my best foot forward if I just keep my head down and keep working. That's what he said. But also, the apparent real wages for Florian Wirtz have come out today, at least according to The Athletic. The Athletic say that Florian Wirtz will earn around £200,000 per week at Anfield before any bonuses, which may pump that wage up. So that's pretty impressive. A lot of people were saying yesterday that the 320, 330 grand a week they felt was a bit high. Well, according to The Athletic, who are, I think it's fair to say, a very credible source, £200,000 per week plus bonuses. And I would imagine, knowing the way FSG operate, that contract is incentivized, so those bonuses will probably add up quickly. But a basic wage of 200 grand a week sounds pretty damn good to me. So yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised to read that, because a lot of us were hearing and seeing 300 to 330 grand a week. So 200 plus bonuses, we'll take that. Thank you very much. Even Florian's sister declined Bayern. Nice. We'll take that. They're so salty about it. I love it, by the way. I love how salty they are about it all. Andy said, why are we only giving him a 5-year deal where everyone else is given 7? Sometimes players' agents won't sign longer deals. And I don't blame them. If you're a player, you're going to want to have as much money as possible, obviously, and stability in your contract. But at 22, you don't really want to sign your whole career away just yet, knowing that you're probably going to reevaluate in 2 years and look for another price bump in your wages. So I wouldn't sign a contract on wages now that may not look as good in 7 years. So I can understand it, to be honest with you. I also understand exactly where you're coming from as well, Andy. 6 would be a nice middle ground, wouldn't it? But the reports are it's going to be a 5-year contract. But if he's doing well, I would imagine that Liverpool will be quite happy to revisit those wages and extend that in a year or two. Dave Sharple said, any news on Joe Gomez? No, nothing new, Dave, other than the stuff we spoke about the other day, that there was, I think, 7 clubs. Let me just scroll back through my notes, buddy. I think there was 7 clubs in the mix for Joe Gomez. 7 or 8 anyway. 1 second. Plenty of notes to scroll through here. Bum, 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 bum. God, where is it always further away than I think it is? Where are the ones for Joe? There we go. So this piece from the other day said 8 Premier League clubs are closely monitoring Joe Gomez's situation, including Newcastle, Aston Villa, Everton, West Ham, Bournemouth and Leeds, as well as Burnley and Sunderland. And FSG have set a price tag of 25 million quid. That was a report from 4 or 5 days ago. That's pretty much the last thing I've seen on Robbo. Or excuse me, on Joe, excuse me. Right, where's Mahmood's question? Somebody said good question, Mahmood, so let's see what it is. Nope, can't find it. We'll keep going. I tell you what, I did not expect to wake up today and see the Andy Robertson story. That was not on my bingo card for this weekend. I very firmly thought that I was going to have a nice quiet weekend, that I could take the day off today, but football's mad. Like we keep saying, things move quickly. Again, just in case people are joining us a bit late, today Bournemouth officially signed Milos Kerkez replacement. So I think you're going to see his move to Liverpool start to ramp up now. So Romano posted earlier on to say Adrian Truffert has signed a 5-year deal at Bournemouth. €13.5 million fixed fee, €3.5 million add-ons plus a 10% sell-on clause for Ron. Medical completed, presentation next week, and here we go, confirmed. Kerkez will become a Liverpool player soon, as reported. Well, you would imagine with them having gotten that deal over the line, it won't be too far away. Still have no word on an absolute agreement, by the way, with price with Bournemouth, but I don't think it's going to be too big of a negotiation. We're somewhere to 35 to 37 million. They're 45. You'd imagine there'll be a deal agreed somewhere soon. Watched the scream earlier on saying Cherky better than Wirtz. Couldn't stop laughing. Yeah, there's a lot of that nonsense going on, mate. He's not. He's a good player, Ryan Cherky. Absolutely. But anybody trying to compare him to Florian Wirtz is just trying to cope or delude themselves, because they're not on the same level. Not even close to being on the same level. But we'll see. We'll see how they both pan out. Obviously, he's going to be a Manchester City player. Florian Wirtz going to be a Liverpool player. So let's see how the next few years pan out. But I tell you what, it definitely feels like City are shopping at a level below us at the minute. And that to me feels weird in a good way. Liverpool very much do feel like the big boys in the transfer market in this window, and it's not a feeling I've really had as a Liverpool fan. We've always been able to attract good players and that, but this window really is shaping up to be different for us in a good way. Luke said, getting a bit worried about the homegrown quota. Mate, look, us idiots on here, and I include myself in that, we'll worry about these things, and rightly so, my man. But the club know this. The club have the boffins on it. People far more intelligent than I am working on this stuff, and they won't leave themselves short in that regard. They will be very aware of the situation. We've already brought in one in Frimpong who will replace, I don't know, Trent, if you want to say. So we've lost Kelleher. That's another homegrown player. Elliot may go. That could be another one. Quansah, that could be another one. So yeah, look, Liverpool will be aware of it, but they won't. They won't fall into any issues with it. They won't walk themselves into trouble. Scott Engerson said, City are getting our sloppy seconds. I know, it's great, isn't it? Thirds, if you want to be really honest about it, because they wanted Szoboszlai as well. He was being linked as a Kevin De Bruyne replacement. Next up then was obviously Florian Wirtz, who they thought they had a good chance of getting. And so say terrible thirds instead of sloppy seconds. Milos Kerkez. So Liverpool are working to complete the signing of Milos Kerkez by the end of next week, said DiMarzio. So I think we're going to see both the medicals done and completed by the end of this upcoming week. And what a start to the window that'll be. A beautiful hat-trick of signings. A big relief for me as well, because I don't go out on a limb too often about guaranteeing you that Liverpool are going to sign players. I've talked about players I think we have a good chance for. There was the Bellingham stuff. But man, I put my neck on the line at the start of this window, and I've been honestly suffering a few sleepless nights, wondering if we'll get them all over the line. But I've always known how strongly the players wanted to come to Liverpool, particularly around Kerkez and Wirtz. So just delighted and relieved that's going to happen, because I'd hate to fill people with confidence for it to be unfounded or misguided. So yeah, I'm very relieved. Sorry if you've answered this question, just join the chat. No problem, Chris. What would you do if we lose both left backs and Quansah and Gomez need at least two versatile centre backs such as Hato and Geertruida? I don't see a world where we will lose both left backs, to be honest, mate. And if we do, it will be because Liverpool have another body in mind at left back. Now, like you've said there, if just for argument's sake, we did lose Costas as well, and we brought in Joel Hato, that would give us double cover at left back and cover at centre back, where I absolutely believe his future is going to be. And what was the other one that you mentioned? We need at least two versatile centre backs. Yes, we do. We need one centre back now, and then I would say another one if we lose somebody. So, but we're not going to leave ourselves short. Don't ever worry about that. Liverpool have this transfer window by the scruff of the neck and seem to know exactly where we're headed. Liverpool should look more into the Bundesliga. Mate, we're well equipped scout-wise in that. The one area of the world I actually think we should probably pull the trigger on a few more deals is South America. That's one area of the world I feel like we're a little bit lagging behind in. But is Joe Gomez going? There's no confirmation on it. No, again, that feels like it will come down to what Joe Gomez wants to do. He's given 10, I think, years of service to the football club. Always been a very able deputy and very good when he's been called upon to start as well. So, yeah, again, we're not going to sell too many players and leave ourselves short. Don't be concerning yourselves about that one. But there is lots of uncertainty. So I understand the questions, because I've been asking myself a lot of the same ones. What's going to happen with Gomez? When are we going to see real interest ramp up in Elliot? Probably after the Euros, I would imagine. The Quansah situation, when will that develop? But most importantly, When are we going to get news on a Canade extension or a centre-back addition for Liverpool? Because right now, I don't think we should be in the mode of waiting to see if we lose a centre-back. I think we should be bringing one in regardless. Raging Cajun, how are we, bro? We should give Robbo and Nunez to Atleti for Alvarez. And 50 million, sorry, for Alvarez. He just doesn't want to come back to England by the looks of it. And also Barcelona are seemingly looking at him now as a potential replacement for Lewandowski at the end of next season if Madrid don't win something this year and Alvarez is unhappy. Faith in LFC, still kind of getting used to it, but I kind of do too, said Scott. Yeah, look, mate, you know, how many transfer windows have I been on here talking about being unhappy and moaning? But, you know, how could I be complaining about what we're seeing so far? It's fantastic. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing the images of Wirtz doing his medical, his signing day blog. Can't wait to see Kerkez come in as well. Can't wait to see the training ground pictures of pre-season, and I'm really excited about it. It feels like we're strongly going into next season as favourites for the Premier League for a few reasons. One, because of the great squad we're putting together. Two, obviously because we are the defending champions, but also the impact on the Club World Cup and what that's going to do to Manchester City and Chelsea, I think will be pretty clear to see as the season goes on. So I feel like it could be another good chance for us and Arsenal to hit the ground running, and I hope we do. What's happening with Nunez, said Paul Taylor. Well, he's leaving. That much I can say to you. But where to? Yeah, don't know. We know that there are 2 clubs in Italy I'm aware of that have had interest in him. Saudi Arabia have interest in him. But I guess until somebody puts an offer forward that he wants to take up and that works for Liverpool, we're kind of just waiting to see. But again, Romano's been really stern on this one as well to say he is 100% leaving Liverpool this summer. It's just going to be a matter of when and for how much. No, South America, mate. See us all as stepping stones for Spanish Giants. Well, to be fair, we've got Alexis McAllister. I know we didn't sign him directly from South America, but you know we should have signed Julian Alvarez from River Plate when Manchester City did it. So you know, look at even Caicedo. So there are certainly bargains to be had in South America, and look how well it's served Brighton. Matt Denny said, homegrown equals registered with a club affiliated with the relevant national association at least 3 years between the ages of 15 and 21. Nationality is not a determining factor. Yeah, it isn't. Once you're at that academy, as you mentioned, 3 years continuously, I believe, up to the age of 21. You're good to go as homegrown. Frimpong trained at Man United. City. But you did correct yourself on that one, yes. It was City. He spent 9 years, I think, at the Manchester City Academy. Right. I'm going to ask, do I have a poll up now? No, I don't. I thought I did. I'm confusing myself here, lads. I'm going to ask what position you think is the most important for us to strengthen next. Now, when I say next, I'm taking for granted that Kerkez is coming in, right? So, okay. So let's say striker. Centre back. Okay, no. Okay. And one more option. What other area of the pitch? Okay, I'm going to say wide. Okay. Right, so what position is the most important to get in for us, to get a signing in, I should say, to get... yeah, we got that. Cool. What position is the most important to get sorted for us? Striker, centre-back, holding midfielder, or wide player? Have a vote on that. For what it's worth, my position would very firmly be centre-back. I think it's the one that we most need right now. Striker, yes, we'll get one. And we'll get one when Darwin leaves. But last season, I felt like we flirted a lot with either holding midfielder or a defensive injury. I think would have really messed up our season. Marius said, "Hey Craig, hope you're doing good. Joining in late. What stuff with Isak?" There was a report from TBR Football today that suggested that Liverpool had gotten some encouragement and were the favourites, and that Arsenal had understood that if Isak does leave Newcastle, he's more likely to go to Liverpool, and that's why they've backed off a bit as well. But again, not trying to sit here and say Isak's going to Liverpool guaranteed. I don't believe that's the case at all, but at least I'm just using it as a way to show that the stories aren't gone away, basically. Mark Houghton, how are you, Mark? Said, licking my lips at the prospect of seeing our lineup ready for the Charity Shield. It's going to be incredible, isn't it, Mark? I can't wait. I really can't wait for the start of next season now. And to see Wirtz, wherever his first game is, bro, I'm just dying to see him on the pitch. Can we all just take a second and give Rory White a massive, massive thank you, by the way? Rory, being the legend that he is going to bring my trophy back from England for me, because he's going over there for a bit of personal stuff. And he's going to kindly pick up the trophy in Liverpool, the Premier League trophy for me, and bring it back. Absolute legend, mate. I can't tell you what a weight off my mind that is, mate. So thank you for reaching out and sorting that out. The absolute legend. What's the Robbo news? He's leaving, by the looks of it, to go to Atletico Madrid. That's the developing story of the day. First it was they're interested, then it was Robbo's open to the idea, then it was Liverpool are going to take a reasonable fee. Yeah, just legend. Be sad to see him go. Craig, thought you were taking the day off. What's the news about Robbo? Just gone through it there. You probably heard me, Andrew. So the stories came out today. Started off with Romano talking about some links, but it very quickly got to the point where it was clear that it was something that may appeal to him. So Romano said, breaking, Atletico Madrid top target at left back is Andy Robertson, appreciated internally as the ideal candidate. Goes on then from Paul Joyce to say Andrew Robertson, the Liverpool left back, is being considered by Atletico Madrid over a summer move. Ian Doyle then said Liverpool have yet to receive an approach from Atletico, but would face a difficult decision over Robertson's future. And remember, he's represented by Tyler Alexander-Arnold, Trent's brother, and that agency. Then we had Romano saying, breaking, Andy Robertson is keen on joining Atleti and initial talks have started. Atletico consider Robertson as their priority. So that's kind of where we were at with that one. Also on Chiesa, Romano said Federico Chiesa is pushing for a return to Italy. There were some informative calls with Napoli. They called to understand the situation, to be informed about the possible conditions of the player's exit. And they do have a Kavisha Kvaratskhelia, a hole in their squad. So yeah, let's see if they come and put their money on the table for Federico Chiesa. And the day off, Andrew, well, when the Robbo news broke, mate, I had to come on and talk about it because he's such a legend at the club. I love that one too. He just goes by Tyler now. I'd seen that post earlier on from somebody. Yeah, spot on. Well played. Just got here, said Lewis, does this mean Chimikas is staying? I don't know. I would imagine it certainly ups the chances of him staying, because are Liverpool going to want wholesale changes at left back in one window, or would you keep somebody who is used to the Premier League like Costas around? But then again, you've got Milos Kerkez who's used to it as well. But we do need an alternative left back, so I'd say his chances have certainly improved of staying, Lewis. Craig, did you see the Romero rumours? I hadn't seen them directly, but I had seen something in our Discord group. I think I jumped into the Discord group halfway through a conversation where they were talking about it. I'd also seen McAllister saying that he's the player he'd most like to play with in the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken. It was Indy. Okay, well then, you can forget about that story then. Where was I? Oh, I want to say thank you, by the way, for this. Our WhatsApp channel in the first week, I think we've officially been a week now, has just gone over 5,000 members. Incredible support. Wow. Thank you. If you want to join the WhatsApp channel, just scan that QR code there on the screen. As the channel gets a little bit older and grows, we're going to have stuff in there. We're going to have polls in there about what you want to see on streams. We're going to have giveaways probably in there as well. And a couple of other interesting bits and pieces. So, if you do want the news before we go live with videos or anything and a couple of shit dad jokes from me along the way, then yeah, please do join us on that WhatsApp channel. Right, where are we at with this one? So we've had over 1,000 votes in our poll in 5 minutes. Wow. If you want to keep going, the question is, what position is the most important to get sorted for us in this window? Craig, who should we look into for the centre-back position? My choice would be Branthwaite if I had one swing at a centre-back that we could bring in. You know, I'd love him because, again, he'd tick a couple of boxes. But is it realistic? I don't know. Would this mean Haddo could be an option? Well, I can't say he wouldn't be. I don't know, honestly, what it means for Joel Haddo in Liverpool, but he's still an Ajax player. Oh, actually, on that, it looks as if that deal has or is going to go through to take Yaros on loan, like I mentioned, to Ajax for a year. So, wishing him the very best. Thoughts on Patrick Schick of Leverkusen? Yeah, I've watched a bit of him, Lauren, and I don't know. It's a really weird situation at the minute, Lauren. I don't see many strikers that are exciting me. You know, Isak obviously is one that I'd love to bring in. Alvarez as well. But after that, I'm kind of, I don't know. None of these players are really exciting me. You know, the idea of Openda doesn't excite me. The idea of Gyökeres doesn't excite me. The idea of Jonathan David doesn't excite me. The idea of Hugo Ekitike doesn't really excite me. 2-meter Messi. He's an interesting one and a reasonable price as well, about 42 million euro, I think, for him. So, yeah, definitely worth keeping an eye on it. But, like, I'm not the guy to tell you who the centre forward's going to be. I've been honest about that. I'm just guessing like everybody else and trying to figure out who the centre forward option may be. And again, I don't really expect us to see Liverpool put their cards on the table until we know what the situation is with Nunez and how much money Liverpool have got in. I don't know why we aren't looking to sign Inacio from Sporting. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, mate. I maybe you were a bit delayed in joining us, but we did speak about a story today from Hugo in Portugal that said reports have emerged claiming that Liverpool are looking to sign a new centre-back this summer. Portuguese outlet Hugo have claimed that Sporting Lisbon defender Gonçalo Inacio is a player of interest to Liverpool. Goes on to say as well, Manchester United, Newcastle also expressing an interest. And I think that story came from the Echo, if I'm not mistaken. Not the original one, that's from Hugo, but the one that I'm reading out there was from the Echo. I'd love a Torres type player in the squad, but that doesn't exist anymore. Give me a Luis Suarez type player through the centre at the minute and I'd be over the moon. Or, like, again, I still kind of get away from the idea of a possible use of Wirtz in a false nine. You know, I don't know if I'm almost willing that into existence, but I'm very intrigued. You know, if this was Jurgen, I feel like I'd have a much better opportunity to answer to you who I think the centre forward might be. But honestly, I don't know what Arne Slot's looking for there, apart from somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net. Luke said, this is clearly the summer we start to see the beginning of Arne Slot's team, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't looking forward to it. Yes, we won the league at the end of the day. That was Klopp's team. Yeah, it's exciting and it's scary at the same time, Luke, because it's the end of one era, an era that's brought us a good bit of success with a group of players that it's going to be sad to see some of them depart. But it's also really exciting, like you've said, because there's the prospect of a new group becoming heroes to us all. And that's the cycle of football, isn't it? But I'm definitely looking forward to it. Would you take Suarez back now? No, James, no. Have you watched much of him playing with Inter Miami? Walking pace is what I'd best describe. So, no, I would pass on that one. LLJ, got a question. Who would you prefer, Isak or Alvarez? Alvarez. If I thought there was any hope in hell of Alvarez, he'd be the one for me. Number 1 on the list, Julian Alvarez. Number 2, Alexander Isak. After that, there's nobody who really excites me too much. But then again, I'm going to say to you that at least half of the forwards we've been linked with, I haven't watched enough of. Ekitike, I'm not informed enough on him to say if I think he'll be good enough or not. I do think the price tag's a piss take. That much I will say. Would I swap Darwin for Ivan Toney? No, I wouldn't. Again, look at the age profile there. He's getting on a little bit as well. I don't want him trying to come back to our league after the Saudi Pro League either. And no, I would say no on that one. John Duran, I would take a punt on, though, if it was a loan with an option. But again, that would have to be if Liverpool didn't have a centre-forward target that they feel they could get over the line this summer. How much would be a good price for Robbo? We ran a poll on it at the start of the stream, Andrew, and the numbers that I said were under 5 million, 5 million to 8 million, 8 million to 12 million, and above 12 million. I think 43 or 44% said above 12 million. 41% I think said 8 to 12 million. So people are thinking somewhere between 8 million and say 15 million. Somewhere in that ballpark seems to be the thought process. But again, we're all guessing. Crispy session. If we have a chance to sign Haddo, we should get him. Certainly is a chance there. It's not going to be an easy deal. Ajax don't want to lose him. But let's say this. There won't be too many managers out there who will be better informed than Arne about what's going on in Dutch football. So he'll know all about Jarell Haddo. He'll know all about his positives and his price tag and everything else. So let's wait and see. And also Giovanni van Bronckhorst, the new assistant coach coming in. Again, himself played a fullback and will know how to spot a player in that position. So yeah, I think Haddo certainly is a name we've been strongly linked with, but I've always thought I see him more as a central defender than a left back. So for me, if we signed him, it would be to eventually move him central. I don't understand why no Gyökeres. I can only say this so many times. He hasn't been tested in a high enough league. And that is the answer. And it might not be the answer you want, but it's the answer. Because he scores goals for Coventry and Sporting Lisbon. There's a very long way from doing that to scoring goals to win the Premier League for Liverpool and the Champions League. And, case in point, Darwin Nunez. He was lighting it up in the Benfica team. And look what's happened with him. So take into account that, his age, which is he's 27, heading 28, he's just not been tested at a high enough league. And that's why Liverpool are so staunch about not going for him. And I totally agree with it. Michael said, Craig, only subscribed a couple of weeks ago, buzzing for the new season. Thanks for all the hard work and great content. Did you see Wirtz answering questions saying he cuts his socks before each game? Yeah, a lot of players do that, I think, these days to release the pressure and a bit less heat. They think maybe it helps with recovery and, maybe limits injuries. I wouldn't be able to play with cut socks. That'd be weird like that. But appreciate you joining the community, though. The amount of people who we've had come in over the past month and say things like, I didn't know the channel existed, or how have I only found the channel now? All I can say is, I'm very grateful to you for being here, and I'm glad that you did find our community, so welcome in. Rusba said, what's the source of the Isak info? Is it legit? is it legit? It seems like, well, it's a tough question for me to answer because I don't want to shit on anybody else or an outlet that I don't know enough about. The source of it is TBR, which is the Boot Room, I believe, a Liverpool channel or a Liverpool outlet. Graham Bailey has been somebody that's been in and around football stuff for a while. Some stuff right, some stuff wrong. So yeah, I don't know whether it would be credible or not, but I certainly wouldn't be. I wouldn't use that source as one to bring to you to say I'm confident in something. That's the fairest I can be about it. I'd need better information before I'd bring it to you guys if it was me. That's all I can say. But again, don't know the outlet, don't want to shit on anyone. I'm not here to belittle anybody else. The only person I've said that I'm willing to call out for this summer's transfer window has been Sasha Tavolieri, because he's been absolutely shocking, in my opinion. Still waiting those few hours for the Kerkez for the Wirtz plane that he said was going to happen a few hours after the Here We Go from Romano. Well, he'll be on a plane in a couple of hours. Will he? It was a package for 150 million euro. Was it? He's got everything wrong. In that regard, I should say. I haven't kept track of his news around non-Liverpool players. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to find my link for that story for you. Yeah, here it is. I'll read this out to you so you can decide then whether you think it's credible or not. So, again, I took this from the Echo, but they credit TBR Football. If I'm not mistaken, though, I think Reach Media own a few of these channels, if I'm not mistaken. So it said, according to Graham Bailey for TBR Football, Liverpool are in pole position to sign Alexander Isak. He said Liverpool are keeping their powder too dry, right? Liverpool still see him as their dream signing, and there's a reason that Liverpool aren't really going overboard in the striker. One, and he goes on to say, Liverpool were in for a mega summer this summer. They've got the funds and the resources there to do both deals, talking about Isak and Wirtz. Just look at the potential sales. Kelleher, Nunez, he says Jota, Chiesa, those four alone could cover the Wirtz fee, and they already have significant war chest set aside for a striker. Isak is the dream striker, and I think because Liverpool's confidence, that's where Arsenal's interest is waning slightly. I've been told Liverpool are in pole position. If Isak leaves, then Liverpool are in the pole position, and I think Arsenal learned that, and that's why they backed off slightly as well. Not just because they can't afford him, because Arsenal probably could if they wanted, but it's £120 million. So I'll let you decide whether you think it's credible or not. But for me, it just leads into this, I don't want to say myth, because it might not be a myth, but there's certainly enough to say there has to be some grain of truth to the Isak stuff somewhere, because it isn't getting shut down all the time. But again, a lot is going to come down to what happens with Newcastle. He's a Newcastle player, and if he pushes for a move away, then maybe Liverpool make a move. But if he doesn't, I can't see it happening. Right, where are we with this one? Yeah, this one. Sorry, I'm trying to play catch up with some super chats that I missed. Saltman, appreciate you, bro. Said, morning, Craig. So much for having a day off. Love your dedication. Keep up the good work. From the second my eyes open to coming on here, I was working non-stop today. I managed to squeeze in 3 cups of coffee, but my wife and my son were out for the day, so it was a quiet house here anyway. And I was, I didn't expect to wake up to see that though, bro, this morning. I didn't. That wasn't on my bingo card for today, but appreciate you as always, sir. Stinky _emu. Thoughts on Robbo and Trent, same agent, and go Madrid? Well, it would have been his brother, Tyler, that, as you said, represents Robbo. I've no problem with Andy Robertson making the move over to Atleti if he wants to, because, you know, a couple of things. One, he's got 1 year left on his Liverpool deal with no guarantees there. A new left back is being brought in. And it's not like he's angled for this move away and trying to kick up crap and learn Spanish for a year. So, yeah, for me, if Robbo wants to go, it'll certainly be with my best wishes and a huge thank you for everything he's done at the club. And I put myself in his position, and I'd say if I was in my early 30s with a young family and my career was in its twilight, shall we say, I wouldn't I'd probably have a look at a move over to play the Wanda Metropolitano for Atletico Madrid as well for a few years in a slightly slower pace league. Yeah, I'd do it if I was in his position. My brother Nathan loves you. Thank you. He enjoys your videos. He also listens to you whilst he tries to sleep. He thinks you're a very beautiful man. Well, that's very kind. Thank you. Um, yeah, I do have a boring voice, so I don't blame him if he's listening to me to try and go to sleep. But I totally understand where he's coming from because I have to have noise on to get to sleep. I usually have the TV on in the background, so I'll usually be watching the US Office or have something like that playing in the background. I can't sleep if it's silent. I need the noise to distract my brain. But much love to your brother Nathan. How are we, Nathan? And thank you, sir. He's earned a bit of sun. Yes, that as well. He's Scottish. You know what I mean? Definitely earned a bit of sun in his life, mate. I agree with you. Frimpong, Kerkez, Wirtz, Isak, and a young centre back would be a great summer with departures of Robin, Darwin, Elliott, and Quansah. It'd be an incredible summer. You know, if we do end the the summer, with the three positions we're just about to sort, plus a centre back and a centre forward, wow. If they're ones of the calibre of the type of signings we're making so far, wow, what a summer ahead. Neil said, Craig, based on this unexpected news today, I can see a few more happening during this window. Whether outgoings or incomings, it's quite exciting. I just feel there's one more big signing. I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think certainly I don't know of a massive signing that's imminent, but the vibes are certainly, yeah, expect one. The US office, Craig, shame. I love them both. I love them both, Remy. You know, you wouldn't have had the US office without the English one. So I even watched the Australian one. I don't know if you've watched that as well. I think it's on Prime, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, just brilliant. That It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. What other ones would I have on in the background going to sleep? Superstore, because it's so I don't need to concentrate at all. It's just really easy comedy to go to sleep. Who's Chris, Aaron? My name's Craig, by the way. I don't know if you got mistaken. Rather Wirtz or Isak, Chris. Also, what's the update in Jota? Will he leave? And the striker situation is a sticky one. Don't want to gamble on a striker for the sake of it. I don't want us to gamble either. I would rather, if we sold Darwin and couldn't get the number one target, look at a loan for the likes of John Duran for a year while we see how Jayden Danns develops. The Jota one, the only one I've really seen lately was that TBR post speak about Jota being for sale. Certainly, I would have sold him. I've said this at the start of the window, but the thought process, I think, is to sell Darwin and not have too much change again because, you know, the manager trusts Diogo Jota. So I certainly would be quite shocked if he moves on at this point. But then again, with Diaz staying, maybe they are open to another forward moving on. Right now, we know Chiesa wants to move back to Italy. So that's one forward going out. Darwin's going to go out. That'll be another one. Are we going to lose Diaz? At this point, I said it's looking more likely he stays than goes. But if Jota goes, then that's three forward positions that we've lost, and we're going to need to probably fill at least two of them and then have an eye on young Rio for the future. Rail still in for Maka. Well, they can be still in all they want. They're not fucking getting them. And I mean that sincerely. There isn't a number that Real Madrid can put on the table that will get Alexis McAllister. It is not happening. Yeah, just no hope, not happening, no chance, no how, no way. Maybe he ends up there in 2 or 3 years' time, but right now Madrid can shop elsewhere because they're not going to get Alexis McAllister. If Robbo leaves, would you think Slot will keep Chimicus? That'd be the sensible thing in my eyes to keep Costas. You know, you don't want to lose both your Premier League and Liverpool tried and tested left backs. So if Robbo does go, I would. If I was advising Arna, I'd say to keep Costas around for a season while we see Kerkez settle into the Liverpool team. Who do you think will be the starting 11 next season? My best guess, and I think we tried this yesterday, was Alisson, Bradley, Canade, Van Dijk, Kerkez. I'm going to go for 4 midfield because I don't know the striker yet. So Gravenberch, McAllister, Soboslai, Wirtz, Salah on the right, and Diaz or Gakpo on the left. That'd be my guess. Stuart said Newcastle are in for João Pedro. Yep, I mentioned that to you guys a few days ago. He's certainly on their list this summer. He'd be an astute signing, in my opinion, in the Premier League for a reasonable amount of money. Yeah, I know his international teammate, I think it was, said he'd love to see him move to, or his Brighton teammate, sorry, said he'd love to see João Pedro move to Liverpool. And we have been linked, but yeah, I don't know. You guys could say to me right now, Craig, I know for a fact that X or Y is going to be the centre forward, and I couldn't say that you're wrong because I don't know. David Sport said centre-back Romero at Spurs. Again, it's a name that's been thrown into the mix in the last day or two, I think based off the back of Alexis McAllister speaking about him. But I don't know. Don't know who the target is at centre-back. Don't know who the target is at centre-forward. Wish I did, because it's caused me a lot of stress trying to figure it out, because I'm very concerned about the Canade situation. With the recent news, injury news with Bajcetic, I feel like we definitely need a CDM unless Endo stays. I still think he's quality, especially when seeing games out. Oh, I think Endo wants to stay by the sound of it. Definitely feels like by the end of the season he'd won Arne around. But what I would say is I don't think Endo will be a good enough backup if we had an injury to deal with to Gravenberch. Maybe for the occasional game, or as you said, to see out a game. But if Gravenberch was out for 3 months, I don't think Wataru Endo, or Wataru, I can never pronounce his first name right, Endo, I don't think he's good enough to play the role the way Arne wants it to be played. So I think it would have a knock-on effect that we'd have to change things around a little bit. So for me, yeah, big summer for Stefan. If he can't prove his fitness this summer and get in the manager's thought process, I worry. I worry for his long-term future at the club. Wataru. I always get it wrong. I always say Wataru and it's wrong. So I'm just going to stick to saying Endo. Tanya said Stiller is better than Endo. Definitely a good shout. Angelo Stiller has been on our radar, certainly been on Real Madrid's radar. And if I was looking to bring in somebody there and into the transfer market, his name would certainly be on the list. It's a great show. Craig, why is no one mentioning Visa from Brentford as a possible striker option? I wouldn't want him at Liverpool. I would have taken Mbuemo in a wide position, but Visa, I'm not sure about. Honestly, I'm not. I know he's had a great season with Brentford this season, but you know, Brentford are also not going to want to be completely rinsed in this market because they're going to lose Mbuemo and they're going to have to start finding people to fill that void. So potentially when you're talking Premier League to Premier League as well, there's usually a premium on that. So if Liverpool went in for him, I would say they're probably not going to get decent value in the market. There's a reason why you don't see teams going out and just buying only Premier League players from other Premier League clubs. It's really expensive. Even just look at the situation now with Mbuemo. So United trying to do a deal about 55, but Spurs are willing to go to 70. And Matthew Johnny said Visa is 28, yeah, which would be... honestly, I didn't know his age, but yeah, 28 would certainly put him in the too old category for me. Matteo Retegui from Atalanta is good value. I think he has a 50 million release clause. I just would be sticking away from an Italian centre forward. I mean, Italy are stinking it up in the national team, and I wouldn't say he's anywhere near good enough for us, to be honest with you. You know, if he's the best Italy have to offer at centre forward, I think they're in trouble. What about Nusa? That's the young Norwegian fella, if I'm not mistaken. Is he at Leipzig? If I'm wrong, apologies. But I read something about Nusa the other day, not in a Liverpool. Yeah, sorry, man. I have nothing on that. But if it's the same guy, he's certainly thought of as a really good talent. Bologna, he's at, is he? Oh, I don't know. I don't know, in all honesty. Wharton at Palace. I'd love him as well. I remember a conversation where there was talk of 100 million, and Jamie Carragher and I think Paul Scholes nearly fell off their chairs trying to say he's nowhere near worth 100 million. Retegui is so good. Then why isn't he scoring for Italy, who are absolutely shite at the minute? I don't think he's so good. He's okay. I mean, Lukaku's looking like the shit over in Italy, and we know he's not great. What about Osimhen? That is the big mystery of this window for me. Like I've said, wouldn't be my number one target at Liverpool, but I am absolutely astonished that nobody from the Premier League who needs a striker is really kicking the door down for him, because it looks like it's a relatively easy deal. Napoli know the number to release him, 70 million euro. The player himself wants to stay in Europe and play at the top level, turn down big money move to Saudi. Your guess is as good as mine as to why clubs aren't kicking down Napoli's door. You can only think that there's a reason for it. I don't know what that reason is. You know, United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, all looking for a striker, and yet nobody is running to Napoli to pay the release clause. Craig, are you watching the Club World Cup thingy tonight? I probably will, because I have a bet on. They offered like 11-4 for Messi to have an assist. So because I have a little bet on it, I probably will watch it, yeah. And the fact it's on late at night, which is, you know, right in my wheelhouse. Right, so we've had over 2,000 votes, and thank you so much to everyone that has voted. We said, what position is the most important to get sorted for us? And with 66% of the vote, you guys have been very firm on this one. It is striker that you guys think is the most important one for us to get over the line. I totally understand that answer. I respect it. I would have voted for centre-back personally, but it would have been centre-back, striker, 1 and 2 for me. So yeah, appreciate you all for that vote. Thank you. Where am I at? Oh, I want to shout this out as well. Last ever Irish show. If you want to come and see us, we'll be in Cork at Cyprus Avenue, 8th of August. It's an over 18 show because of the licensing laws. And when I say ever, I mean at least for the next 2 years. There won't be any Irish shows happening. So if you want to come and see us, Cork for the last Irish one, and Liverpool will be the last ever one for us. Well, at least for the next 2 years. We haven't booked it in yet, but we're going to book another show in Liverpool because we need to make it up to the people who we let down by not being able to do the last one. Right. J Malo said, 2nd year on the channel. Thanks for being you, Craig. You're a role model, a straightforward and an honest man. Happy to see the perspective from the opposition when passing judgment has helped me do this better. Man, that's one of the kindest messages I've ever seen sent. That means the most to me in all of this. You know, people thinking that I am a decent human being. That means more to me than subscribers and the money, any of it. Just to be thought of as a good man means a lot to me in this life. So, yeah, bro, thank you. Glad you're here with us. Thank you for finding us, but it means a lot. It means so much, mate. Yeah, it does. Thank you. Almost got me tearing up here, man, honestly. It's that's the validation in life that I really am looking for, to be remembered as a good man. That's it. You know, I'm getting older now, and you start thinking about your legacy in life, and you know, if I can leave a legacy where in some time people say to my kids, you know what, your dad was a good man. Man, that's all I can ask for. Thank you, Hoarder, as well. Much love, my friend. Right, what was this one? Next vice captain. For me, the candidates would be Alisson, Mohamed Salah, and Alexis McAllister. They would be my 3 if I was picking one. I like somebody in the centre of the park, so I'd probably say Alexis McAllister is the vice captain. But if you're going seniority, then you know you got to look at the likes of Alisson and Mohamed Salah. What about the net spendometer? We have it, but we're updating it. Because when we updated the net spendometer last, it was under the assumption that the price tag was going to be a bit higher than it is for Wirtz. So today's Connor's day off, but we are working on the updated net spendometer. Don't you worry about that, my friend. where is the title emergency meeting if you're going full league owner? I didn't want to go. I didn't want to rob his thing, to be fair. That's Lee's wording, and I'll leave Lee have that one. But yeah, certainly feels like, as I said in the video earlier on, a little nod to league owner with that, because I hadn't planned on streaming today. Mo and Ali aren't taking it for religious reasons. I've no understanding that that's the case whatsoever, mate. And I think to bring that into it and saying that, I think it's unnecessary. Let's just say that. We've seen Mohamed Salah wear the captain's armband, I'm sure, for a game or for a period of a game. But look, for me, we've lots of great leaders in that group, and who's a vice captain or not, that doesn't really matter, to be honest. They should all be leading out there on the pitch. Jamala, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, bro. Appreciate you. Right, we need 129 likes to get us up to 1,000. So if I can ask you that little favour, if you can, hit that like button for us. Oh, and also, thank you. The Clips channel today hit 50,000 subscribers, halfway to the goal of 100,000 to get that YouTube silver play button. So to everyone that has subscribed to the Clips channel over the past while, absolute legends. Means a lot to us. Thank you. Am I watching the UFC tonight? Yeah, it's fight night. Kamaru Usman fighting, if I'm not mistaken, welterweight. I'm not huge into the UFC, but yeah, if there's a fight on, I'll probably stick it on the background if I'm working away. Yeah. Dwight Ogu said, Craig, I'm with you. A centre-back's more important for us than a centre-forward. For me, I think it's the position that if we have a big injury in, I think it will cause us problems. If we had an injury at centre-forward, there's always a way to make do, whether it's playing Wirtz as a false nine, moving Mo central, playing Diogo Jota, doing what we did with Diaz this season. I think we can cope in that way. But losing a huge centre-back and the leadership that comes with that, I think it will cause us big problems. That's why I would say centre-back. How many homegrown players must we have in the squad? It's kind of a loaded question. If you want to have the full complement of a 25-man registered squad with the Premier League, then 8 of those have to be homegrown. But you can bring through as many youth players as you want as well. But yeah, I think the fairest way to say it is the most non-homegrown players you can have is 17. Just came in, tune out. What was Trent's brother initially offered Robertson to Atleti? They have the same agents. Yes, it was him. It was him. Am I surprised by that? Not really. But also, like I said, I view the two situations as extremely differently. This is Robertson maybe getting an opportunity to continue being a first starting 11 player, whereas his time at Liverpool doing that's probably coming to an end. So yeah, certainly for me, like I've said all the way through, nothing but love for Andy Robertson. And if he moves on, I'd probably do the same in his position. That's the fairest I can be about it. If I had in my 30s with a young family, having lived in Scotland and not seen the sun for very long, the idea of a few years playing over in Madrid with Atleti in a great stadium with great fans, I think that'll be a nice end to his career. And again, it would allow him to play regularly. Craig, at this moment, do you think we sell Diaz? Well, I think the Barcelona avenue is closing off because real pace being gathered now about Atletico or Nico Williams and them. So if Barca go for Nico Williams, I mean, the options then for Diaz are stay with Liverpool or go to play in Saudi. If he has any aspirations of wanting to still, win stuff and play at the top level, he stays at Liverpool. And I've always said I feel Liverpool are relaxed about this situation because 2 years left on his deal, on a fairly modest wage. And even if he sees out his contract and goes for free, I would dare say Liverpool probably think they'll have had value out of that contract. So I would say at this point, more likely to stay based on the Barcelona news with Nico Williams. Gavin Ball said, I'll be happy with Van Bronckhorst's appointment, wealth of knowledge at the top level. Yeah, it seems like a very stable appointment. Another Dutch coach there coming in as well. So, yeah, can totally understand that. The interesting post from Romano, though, earlier about Gyökeres' priorities to join Arsenal this summer, despite calls from Manchester United in recent weeks. Arsenal really are making a meal out of getting a striker, by the way, aren't they? How much change to our title-winning squad is too much change? Again, it's how you look at the change. If you're talking about changing players, the manager hasn't been playing too much, like Quansah, Elliott, Kelleher. Look, that was a different situation. Then probably not too much. It's when you start losing players that you would consider in the first 14 or 15 that you would have a problem. So I don't know if we're at a stage yet where I'd be worrying about too much change. I would like to see Costa stay though, if Robbo goes, because I think losing one of them is understandable, but losing two is probably too much change in that position. Right back, we've had change there, but also some stability with Bradley. At least we know what Bradley's about and he knows what the league's about. Midfield, don't expect much change there, and it'd be anybody would say that Wirtz isn't upgraded on Elliott, would be a liar. But the forward line's an interesting one because Jota, his future is in the air a bit. Diaz has been up in the air a bit. Darwin's definitely going. Chiesa wants to go. That's going to be an area of the picture where potentially we could lose 3 players. Would I like to have Šeško? Yeah, I've said before, I think Benjamin Šeško's a good player. I would have... Yeah, I'd be feeling comfortable if he ended up in a Liverpool shirt. I would. I know people think maybe he's not the finished article yet, but I like his pedigree. I like the fact he's come through the Red Bull model. Jurgen, I'm sure, could give a glowing reference to the club. Yeah, I would take Benjamin Šeško at Liverpool. I would think he probably... I always thought he'd end up at Arsenal for what it's worth, but yeah, I would. I'd take him at Liverpool. How do you think Gyökeres would do in Arsenal, and why do you think... and who do you think will be a bigger challenge for the league, Arsenal or City? Next season, I imagine it'll be Arsenal because of the Club World Cup, and I think that will have an impact on City as the season goes on. And also, I'm not really overly impressed with Man City's business. And on the Gyökeres thing, how will he do with Arsenal? I mean, I think he'll do okay. I will certainly not expect him to win a Golden Boot or anything, but yeah, he's okay. It's a gamble, and if I'm an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't be. I don't know. I'd feel like waiting so long for a striker and ending up with him. It would feel a bit underwhelming if I was Arsenal and an Arsenal fan seeing that. Would I take a Penda 80 million release clause? No, not for me. Too inconsistent from what I've seen. We started off in the best fullback partnership to now see them play against each other. Well, look at we've got some good options though at fullback. To be fair, Frimpong, Bradley on the right. Let's just say, for argument's sake, Kerkez, Costas on the left. We're not exactly struggling there. Thriller X said, I've got a feeling we get Isak. Maybe. I don't know. Honestly, it's not going away, though. That much I will say to you. Let's do a quick straw poll on it. A real quick one. Because I've only got about 10 minutes left. So real quick, do we sign Isak? Yes or no? We'll let that run for the last 10 minutes and then we'll see what people think. Because the stories aren't going away, but yet they're not really coming from Tier A sources either, are they? So like if Romano or Ornstein or Joyce or Melissa Reddy or anybody of that tier came in and said it, then I'd sit up and listen. But so far it's kind of been on the edge, shall we say, of the people who've been saying that Liverpool are still interested. Is Nunez staying? No, he's 100% leaving. And again, you don't even have to take my word for that. Romano said the very same. Lautaro Martinez could be a good option. He's 28. So for me, no on Lautaro Martinez. Atleti, considering Novo as an option, I think. IROC said John Duran would fit stylistically. He would really intrigue me for a season on loan because there's a couple of reasons for it. One, it would allow Jaden Dans the season to go develop and we see how he gets on. And two, it'd almost be like a free hit for us. So if you can't get the number one target at striker, and I don't want us to settle and spend big money. So it intrigues me, but only if we can't get whomever Arna wants. Is Robbo really going? It looks that way. As the days gone on, the stories have started to lean more towards Robbo accepting the proposal. So Romano said contact are expected between Liverpool and Atletico Madrid to reach an agreement with Andy Robertson. Then there was another one that said, where was this one from? Mateo Moretto, where's that one? Liverpool are asking for a modest fee to let Andy Robertson leave with his contract set to expire in 2026. Atletico see Robbo as a realistic target and he's already said yes to Atletico, said Mateo Moretto. So, that's where we're at with that one at the minute. How do we know we're in pole position for Isak? We don't. It's a report from somebody. Like I've said, Matthew, a few times during the stream. It came from TBR Football, and they said in that through Graham Bailey, let me read it out one more time. Liverpool are keeping their powder too dry, right? Liverpool see Isak as their dream signing, and there's a reason that Liverpool aren't going overboard in the striker department at the minute. I want this going to the next one. Sorry, mate. 1 second. And then he said, Liverpool were in for a mega summer this summer. They've got the funds and the resources to do both deals. He means Isak and Wirtz. Just look at the potential sales. Kelleher, Nunez, Jota, Chiesa, those four alone will cover the Wirtz fee. Goes on to say Isak is the dream, and I think because Liverpool's confidence, that's where Arsenal's interest is waning slightly. I've been told Liverpool are in pole position. If Isak leaves, then Liverpool are in pole position, and I think Arsenal learned that, and that's why they backed off slightly. So again, according to Graham Bailey and TBR Football, that's where the pole position stuff comes from, mate. What do you think about Maxence Lacroix? I think he's not good enough. We're talking about the Palace centre-back. Not good enough for me. Definitely. I feel like the one that got away was Van de Ven when we had a chance there. Although he's had some injury concerns. If Robbo goes, I think Hatter would be a great option. Yeah, lots of shouts for him, Dan, in the chat tonight. Understandably, I think it's a good shout because he can fill in two positions, and I think his future probably does lie at centre back. What else we got? This one from Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. I think Liverpool sees Ekitike as the next Isak. A lot of similarities in their profiles, but 100 million sounds like Frankfurt's F-off price. I agree. If we were talking about him at 60 million, I'd feel way more comfortable about it. But knowing that they paid 13, I think, million for him, and now looking for the 100 million euros just feels like a piss take to me. But again, appreciate you, Matthew. LFC Forever said, I still have a feeling we sign Isak. Well, the story isn't going away, and the links to us and him aren't going away. I remember reading a piece, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, that said that we could see the similar situation with Wirtz here, where he says to Newcastle, I want to leave and I only want to go to Liverpool. What happens after that, if that's the case, is open to interpretation, but it will take that. It will take him to be quite strong and say, I want to go and I only want to go here. Whether that happens or not, let's wait and see. Newcastle are in a good position there. They're in the Champions League. They're certainly not having any PSR headaches that I'm aware of, so certainly don't need to sell. It'd be a very difficult deal to get done. So we asked, do we sign Isak? We're about 750 votes in. We're going to leave it running for the last couple of minutes. If you want to have a vote, please do. So far, it's close enough. There's a few percentage points in it. What do you think of the Murillo centre-back of Forest? Interesting. Yeah, interesting. Certainly a talent. With Forest missing out on the Champions League, I think even allowing for the fact that I think Murillo signed a new deal, if my memory's right, certainly be an interesting take. How much they'd look for, I don't know on that one, but certainly looks like a talented player. So for me, I'd be okay with it. Do we think Endo will stay? Yeah, I do. I get the feeling Endo will stay at least one more year to give cover. And because he seems happy enough to be at Liverpool. He knows he's at a super club and he's just won a Premier League title. So, yeah, I think he will stay. What number do you think Wirtz will wear? Said Megan. So, 27, 23, 7 are the three options, I think. But 7 only if Diaz were to leave, and it looks like he probably isn't. So I would say 27 would probably be where the smart money would be for Wirtz, but let's wait and see. LFC Deadpool said, agree with you, Craig. I'm not blown away with the striker option. So John Duran loan for the year means we get options. Exactly. But not a commitment. I would be pretty relaxed about Duran on loan with an option to buy. That would be, sensible for me if you can't get the one that you want, because it's a deal that is probably going to happen anyway. He's not settling in Saudi. Lots of talk he's going to get a loan move away. World Cup year coming up as well, so he's going to want to be playing week in and week out and be happy and confident. So yeah, I would take the option if it was presented to us and we couldn't get the number one target. What about number 9 for Wirtz? I mean, the man can take any number he wants from me and it'll be all good. He just doesn't feel like a 9, though, in a weird way. Number 9, I'm pretty hard and fast on wanting my centre forward to have that number. Number 7 would feel like it would be a good number for him, but of course that's Lucho's as well. 10, Macca's number. So yeah, I think I have a feeling, just my guess, that Liverpool are going to wait for the Adidas deal to kick in before they announce the numbers. Might be leaving it a bit late to start selling them then, of course, because that won't be till the 1st of August. But that's been my guess on this, that we'll see Frimpong's number unveiled, Wirtz's number unveiled, maybe Kerkez number unveiled, when the Adidas stuff starts to be at least gone on pre-sale. Give Frimpong 66, in my opinion, said Ian. 30, I thought was the guess for him that people were saying for Frimpong, but I don't ever want to see 66 again in every sense of the word. Craig, could we part exchange Harvey or Quansah for Isak? It wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility. Definitely, there are 2 players that Newcastle are interested in. Again, it's just getting to the point where Newcastle in any way listen to offers for Isak that I think would be the problem. But what you've mentioned there certainly wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility. Do you think if we got Gordon, Jones could convince him to join us? If we go for Gordon, sorry. He doesn't need to be convinced, mate. Anthony Gordon would love to play for Liverpool Football Club. He thought it was going to happen last summer. Felt really excited about it. Obviously, him and Jones are good mates. He wouldn't need any convincing. If Liverpool wanted to make a move for him, he'd be up for the move. I've no doubts about that. Right, we're nearly at 1,000 votes. 40 to go. So if you can't, really quickly vote. Do we sign Alexander Isak? Do you think yes or no? About 40 to go. Do you think Inacio is the man? I think it would be a realistic option. I think Inacio is a good defender. Obviously plays in a back 3 in Sporting, so you just have to keep that in mind. But I wouldn't be upset if we signed him, put it that way. It would certainly be somebody who I'd go, okay, yeah, no problem with that. Am I worried about City next season? No. Honestly, I look at their business and it doesn't worry me at all. I actually, when you look at the players they've lost over the years, so Alvarez, obviously Aguero, De Bruyne now. No. And again, if you said to me that 100% they were going to get back the same Rodri before he had the injury, I'd be concerned. But I think even then it's going to take time for him to trust his body. So no, I'm not as concerned about them. Throw in the Club World Cup as well, and I think Arsenal will be our biggest contender next season, personally. This one, said Ian. Said, to be fair, give Newcastle Darwin. He usually plays well against them. They nearly signed him before they signed Isak. They were looking at him. I think Newcastle fans are probably glad they went for the one they did. Right, let's get this poll finished up, and then I will say goodnight to you all. Do we sign Isak? 55% of just over 1,000 people that voted said yes, we sign Isak. I love your optimism. So look, I'm going to do a recap video in the next few minutes. That'll be out for you guys, taking you through all the stories from today in case you joined us in late. Again, huge thank you for another fun stream. You guys are awesome. Always appreciate your support. If you want to join our WhatsApp community, like I said, you can scan that QR code or use the link pinned to the top of the chat. Unsure if I'll be here or not tomorrow, so I'm not going to say anything either way, because if I tell you I'm not going to be here, I'll have jinxed myself. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but either way, have a wonderful weekend. Much love to you all.